Fundamentals of the state policy of the Russian Federation on nuclear deterrence. I. General provisions. 1. These fundamentals are a strategic planning document in the sphere of defense, reflecting the official views on the essence of nuclear deterrence. They identify military risks and threats to be neutralized through nuclear deterrence, establish the principles of nuclear deterrence, as well as the conditions for transitioning the Russian Federation to the use of nuclear weapons. 2. One of the top priorities of the state is to ensure the guaranteed deterrence of potential adversaries from unleashing aggression against the Russian Federation and its allies. The deterrence of aggression is ensured by the full range of the Russian Federation's military capabilities, including its nuclear arsenal. 3. The state policy of the Russian Federation in the field of nuclear deterrence, hereinafter referred to as State Policy on Nuclear Deterrence, represents a set of coordinated measures, spanning political, military, technical, diplomatic, economic, informational, and other domains, designed to leverage the capabilities of nuclear deterrence in order to prevent aggression against the Russian Federation and its allies. 4. The state policy on nuclear deterrence is defensive in nature, aimed at maintaining the nuclear force's potential at a level sufficient to ensure nuclear deterrence and guarantees the protection of state sovereignty and territorial integrity, deters potential adversaries from aggression against the Russian Federation and/or its allies, and, in the event of a military conflict, prevents escalation and ensures its cessation on terms acceptable to the Russian Federation and/or its allies. 5. The Russian Federation regards nuclear weapons as a deterrent only to be used as an unavoidable last resort. It takes all necessary steps to reduce nuclear threats and to prevent the deterioration of international relations that could lead to military conflicts, including those involving nuclear weapons. 6. The legal framework for these fundamentals consists of the Constitution of the Russian Federation, universally recognized principles and norms of international law, international treaties of the Russian Federation, federal constitutional laws, federal laws, and other regulatory legal acts and documents governing defense and security matters. 7. The provisions of these fundamentals are binding on all federal state authorities, other state bodies, and organizations involved in ensuring nuclear deterrence. 8. These fundamentals may be updated depending on external and internal factors affecting defense assurance. 2. The essence of nuclear deterrence. 9. The Russian Federation implements nuclear deterrence against potential adversaries, defined as individual states and military coalitions, blocs, alliances, that view the Russian Federation as a potential adversary and possess nuclear and/or other weapons of mass destruction or significant conventional armed forces capabilities. Nuclear deterrence is also directed against states that provide controlled territories, airspace, and/or maritime space and resources for preparing and carrying out aggression against the Russian Federation. 10. Aggression by any state that is part of a military coalition, bloc, alliance, against the Russian Federation and/or its allies is regarded as aggression by the coalition, bloc, alliance as a whole. 11. Aggression against the Russian Federation and/or its allies by any non-nuclear state with the involvement or support of a nuclear state is seen as a joint attack by that bloc. 12. Nuclear deterrence is aimed at ensuring that potential adversaries understand the inevitability of retaliation in the event of aggression against the Russian Federation and/or its allies. 13. Nuclear deterrence is guaranteed by the presence of combat-ready forces and means within the armed forces of the Russian Federation, capable of inflicting unacceptable damage to a potential adversary under any circumstances through the use of nuclear weapons, along with the readiness and resolve of the Russian Federation to use such weapons. 14. Nuclear deterrence is continuously maintained in peacetime during periods of immediate threat of aggression and in wartime, even to the extent of using nuclear weapons. 15. The key military dangers, which may escalate into threats to the Russian Federation and require neutralization through nuclear deterrence, include a. The potential adversary's possession of nuclear and/or other types of weapons of mass destruction that may be used against the Russian Federation and/or its allies, as well as the means of delivery for these types of weapons. B. The presence and deployment by potential adversaries of missile defense systems, medium and short-range cruise and ballistic missiles, high-precision non-nuclear and hypersonic weapons, unmanned strike platforms, and directed energy weapons potentially usable against the Russian Federation. C. The buildup of enemy conventional forces near the Russian Federation's borders or in adjacent maritime areas, including the means of delivering nuclear weapons and/or military infrastructure, enabling their use. D. The creation and deployment of space-based missile defense systems, anti-satellite weapons, and strike systems by adversaries. E. The deployment of nuclear weapons and their delivery means in non-nuclear states. F. The creation of new or the expansion of existing military coalitions, blocs, alliances, that result in their military infrastructure nearing the borders of the Russian Federation. G. Actions isolating parts of the Russian Federation's territory, such as blocking critical transport links. H. Actions by the potential adversary aimed at striking, destroying, terminating environmentally hazardous facilities in the Russian Federation, which could lead to technological, ecological, or social disasters. I. Large-scale military exercises by adversaries near the Russian Federation's borders. J. Uncontrolled proliferation of weapons of mass destruction, their means of delivery, technologies, and equipment for their production. 6. The principles of nuclear deterrence include A. The continuity of measures to ensure nuclear deterrence. B. The adaptability of nuclear deterrence to military dangers and threats. C. The uncertainty of potential adversaries regarding the scope, timing, and location of use of nuclear deterrence forces and means. Centralized state management of federal executive agencies involved in nuclear deterrence. E. Rationality in the structure and composition of nuclear deterrence forces, maintaining them at levels sufficient to accomplish set tasks. Constant readiness of the designated nuclear deterrence forces. G. Centralized control over the use of nuclear weapons, including those deployed outside Russian territory. 17. The Russian Federation's nuclear deterrence forces include land-based, sea-based, and air-based nuclear forces. Conditions for transitioning to nuclear weapons use. 18. The Russian Federation reserves the right to use nuclear weapons in response to attacks involving nuclear and/or other weapons of mass destruction directed at itself or its allies. This right also extends to situations of conventional aggression against the Russian Federation and/or the Republic of Belarus, as member states of the Union State, involving conventional weapons that pose a significant threat to their sovereignty and territorial integrity. 19. The conditions for potential nuclear weapons use by the Russian Federation include A. Obtaining reliable information about the launch of ballistic missiles targeting the Russian Federation and/or its allies. B. Enemy use of nuclear arms or other weapons of mass destruction against the Russian Federation and/or its allies, armed forces, or facilities located outside its territory. C. Adversary actions against critically important state or military facilities of the Russian Federation, the disabling of which would disrupt the response of nuclear forces. Conventional aggression against the Russian Federation and/or Belarus, creating critical sovereignty and/or territorial integrity threats. E. Verified information indicating a significant launch of an attack by enemy aerospace assets breaching the state borders of the Russian Federation. 20. The President of the Russian Federation decides on the use of nuclear weapons. 21. The President may notify foreign political and military leadership or international organizations of the readiness or a decision to use nuclear weapons, as well as the fact of their use. 4. Tasks and functions of federal authorities, other state bodies, and organizations. 22. The President of the Russian Federation oversees nuclear deterrence policy. 23. The government implements economic measures to support nuclear deterrence capabilities and conducts foreign and informational policies in the nuclear deterrence domain. 24. The Security Council outlines the main directions of military policy and coordinates efforts of federal bodies executing the presidential decisions on nuclear deterrence. 25. The Ministry of Defense, via the General Staff, plans and conducts organizational and military activities related to nuclear deterrence. 26. Other federal executive bodies and organizations fulfill their roles in implementing nuclear deterrence in accordance with the President's directives.